This episode is sponsored by the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Hollywood Casino and ESPN Bet want to help you get ready for football season. Download the ESPN Bet app today and explore an action-packed online sportsbook. Then stop in the casino to catch the action in person with a tailgate party on September 8th. Visit HollywoodCasinoCharlestown.com to see how you can reserve your package. Must be 21 to enter the casino floor. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. The new two-part Sopranos docuseries Wise Guy premieres this weekend on HBO and Max. I spoke with actor Michael Imperioli in 2020 when he launched his Sopranos watch-along podcast, Talking Sopranos.
Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to join us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
When I saw this thing was coming out, I was so jacked that it even was a thing, let alone that you were hosting it. How is this actually structured? Are you guys going to go chronologically, like by episode? Or?
Yeah, it's an episode-by-episode rewatch podcast. It also incorporates guests from the show, some of the cast, some of the crew. Not every show has a guest. And, you know, we go through it scene by scene, and we also talk about, you know, memories from the time from around then. We also go into, you know, somewhat how it relates to our lives now, back then. I talk about my career before The Sopranos, after The Sopranos. Steve Sciarippa, who also had a life before. He was an actor. He was in the casino business in Las Vegas. But the episodes our episodes are synced up with Soprano episodes. So ideally you watch an episode and then you listen to us talk about it.
I love it. Memories real quick of Joe Pesci shooting you in the foot, then taking you out in Goodfellas. I mean, do you feel like when Pesci shoots you in that thing and De Niro goes, whoa, are you a made man at that point?
You know, when we shot it, I was 23 or 22, 1989, and it was like, you know, I had done a couple little things in movies, not much, and some plays. I've been trying and struggling as an actor for about 6 years by then, you know, so it was like getting called up from the minor leagues to the World Series with the Yankees, you know. That's what that was like for me, to be with those guys who were, you know, big heroes of mine. So that was a big deal, yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, I wasn't sure how it was going to, you know, sometimes you get cut out of a movie, so I wasn't sure how it was going to play. I didn't really read the whole script. I only had my scenes from the movie, so I wasn't sure what it was going to look like on screen or if people would remember it, or if I had no idea it was going to be a scene that would become, you know, such a memorable one. And we didn't know if the movie was going to be, you know, a hit or a great one or a memorable one, and it turned out to be one of the greats. So that was, you know, very, very critical to my career as an actor.
Yeah. Pivot back to Christopher. That was arguably one of the most devastating in the whole thing.
You know, Christopher was a very unstable person, you know, and, you know, Tony's life was always in danger, of course, because he's the boss and he could be arrested or killed at any time, but there was some relative stability in his life. Like, he had a big house. He had been married for a long time. He had kids, and one was going to college. And, you know, Christopher was, you know, always trying to just put it together and keep it together and, you know, rise up the ladder, but, you know, one step forward, two steps back. And I think that instability, you know, which also was reflected in their relationship with Adriana, with Christopher and Adriana. I think that instability and volatility was something that brought a lot of tension to the show.
Absolutely. And you, the whole father-son thing with you, I mean, you're basically Tony's adopted son, you know, to Junior's detriment at some point. But, you know, I love the bond between you guys. And then when you finally read that script of, you know, the pinching of the nose scene at the car crash, when, you know, basically your quote-unquote father is, you know, comfortably numbs playing, the child has grown, the dream is gone lyrics. I mean, there's so much symbolism in that. Do you think that, you know, what's going through Tony's mind at that point that, you know, he would take out his own son?
I think I think it was really important for Tony's character to do something like that, to really show that at the end of the day, he's, a corrupt gangster criminal. You know what I mean? He's not a warm, fuzzy guy who's just this family guy that, he's, a criminal who's really about self-preservation, and, he comes first, which is important because through the course of the series, people, are enamored of him. Which is why they tune into the show, because he's likable, and you want to see, him go through life. But right toward, Christopher's death happens almost at the end of the series, and, it drives home the fact that, hey, at the end of the day, he's a gangster.
Yeah. What were you thinking when because obviously throughout the different seasons, you're reading the script, imagining ways that your character might go, or wondering if you're going to survive the thing or not. What goes through your mind as an actor when you get that script the first time and you say, oh, all right, this is my time?
I knew about it a long time ago, a long time before, like a year or two before we shot it, before it was written. I knew that storyline, because I was also a writer on the show, so I was privy to a lot of what was going to happen, much more than anyone else in the cast. So I thought it was great. I thought it was really important and a great idea.
Awesome. Yeah, as you mentioned, you wrote season 2, From Where to Eternity, season 3, Telltale Motel, season 4, Everybody Hurts, season 5, Marco Polo. You wrote a bunch. Is there one particular you're most proud of writing?
The first one, just because it was the first one, and I wrote a spec script between season 1 and season 2 because I had fallen in love with the show during the shooting of season 1. So I wrote this spec script about Christopher ODing and then having these visions of the afterlife and heaven and hell and purgatory and all this. And David really liked it. Said, well, I'm planning on Christopher getting shot so we can use all this. So I guess because I think that'll always be my favorite. But the last one I wrote, Marco Polo, as well, because it's a very enclosed episode, almost like a little movie unto itself. That was a really I like that one a lot too.
And do you have a favorite episode that you didn't write? That you at least were just a part of?
The White Cats episode, which. I think it's season 5, I'm not sure. But it focuses mostly on Tony and Carmela's relationship, and they're almost getting divorced. They buy this house down the Jersey Shore, and their marriage is really crumbling. And there's scenes of them together, alone, really going through, their marital difficulties. And it's just some of the best acting and writing I've ever seen anywhere.
Oh, man, you're right. That episode comes to mind, too. That's what I would probably pick, too. So raw and believable. It's amazing. We got to, before we jump off here, we got to talk about, everyone always wants to know about it'll be the very end of your podcast because you're going in order. But do you have a take on it? To me, it's obvious, at least within what we're watching, that Tony is killed by the members only guy. It cuts to black in the POV shot. If you want to go back and forth, it's like a series of 3 patterns with the bell ring, and it's black on the one that's supposed to be his POV. But I also think there might be a chance that maybe David Chase is effing with us and it's all a dream, because he got that song lyric that says, all that you dream, cloud changes scene, all that. But do you have a personal theory, or just in general, that the public reaction back to that their TV is black?
Well, maybe we should have you on when we do that episode. You have a lot of insight into it. That's very cool.
I'd be happy to.
You got me thinking about a lot of things. At first I thought he was dead, but then I've heard David Chase talk about it over the years. And one of the lyrics of the Journey song, Don't Stop Believing, is, oh, the movie never ends, it goes on and on and on and on. And I think that's what David was trying to connect to, which doesn't really answer the question. But it's more, it's just more like emotional than it is literal, which doesn't satisfy anybody at all, but that's what I've come to believe.
All right. Well, you've been generous with your time, man. Just final seconds. I think the Writers Guild voted it the greatest written show of all time. What say you? Make your case. Why is Sopranos the greatest show ever?
I think it was the first TV show to bring a cinematic quality of storytelling to television. What people got out of movies, like Goodfellas and Godfather, stuff like that. That kind of connection. Sopranos brought that to television.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Can't wait to listen to the podcast. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.